Good morning, America. Good afternoon, United Kingdom. Good evening, Mauritius, India, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia. வாழ்க நிரந்தரம், வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி, வாழிய வாழியவை, வானம் அளந்த அனைத்தும் அளந்தும் பன்மொழி வாழியவே, ஏழ்கடல் வைப்பினும் தன்மனம் வீசி இசை கொண்டு வாழியவே, எங்கள் தமிழ் மொழி என்றென்றும் வாழியவே. With that wonderful verses from Mahakavi Bharati for the excellent and the oldest Tamil language, we welcome you all. Aikiya Rajya Tamil Thurai, that is Tamil Studies UK, in association with International Thirukkural Foundation Mauritius, in coordination with Tamil Valarchi Mandram, Australia, Voice of Valluvar Family, India, and ValaiTamil proudly presents Thirukkural and UNESCO for World Peace, International Thirukkural Conference. And we welcome you all again. Today topic is Law and Justice in Thirukkural for World Peace. To start with, we are inviting Selvi Sambhavi Jayadasan to recite some excellent Kurals. She was born and brought up in London and learned Tamil in UK. Over to Selvi Sambhavi.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். திருக்குறள். செயற்கரிய செய்வார் பெரியர், சிறியர் செயற்கரிய செய்கலாதார். அப்பொருள் யார் யார் வாய் கேட்பினும் அப்பொருள் மெய்ப்பொருள் காண்பதறிவு. முகநக நட்பது நட்பன்று, நெஞ்சத்து அகநக நட்பது நட்பு. புறத்தூய்மை நீரான் அமையும், அகத்தூய்மை வாய்மையால் காணப்படும். மண்ணுயிர் ஓம்பி அருள் ஆழ்வார்க்கு இல்லென்ப, தன்னுயிர் அஞ்சும் வினை. நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
மிக்க நன்றி. Thank you, Selvi Sambhavi Jayadasan, for such a wonderful blessings you got. Thank you so much. Thirukkural, this Thirukkural is an amazing treasure of Tamil language composed 2000 years ago. I would like to bring some of the interesting facts about Thirukkural to start with. It contains 133 Adhikaram, you all know, 380 Kurals in Arathupal, 700 Kurals in Porutpal, and 250 Kurals in Kamathupal, of a total of 1330 Kurals. In Thirukkural, 14,000 words have been used, and there are with 42,194 letters used. Out of 247 Tamil letters, 37 letters are not there in Thirukkural. There are only two flowers in Kural, Anicham and Kuvalai. And the only fruit in Thirukkural mentioned was the Nerinji fruit. And the only seed is Kundrimani. Thirukkural has only two trees, Panai and Mungil, that is palm tree and bamboo tree. Thirukkural has no letter Ip and the letter Ni used quite a lot, say 1705 times. The word Kodi, because we all come from different Kodis, the word Kodi comes 7 places and there is no number 9, that is, there is no number 9 in Kural, whereas 7, that is 7, comes in 8 Kurals. Kuriparidal is the only Adhikaram came twice. Two common words which we use very frequently in everyday's life is not there in Thirukkural. You may know that. That is, one is Tamil, another is Kadavul. Thirukkural was first printed in the year 1812. And of course, thanks to Mr. Haridhan and the prestigious 90 years old Tamil magazine Kalaimagal for the information provided, which I have quoted now. Now it is time to invite Dr. Chandrika Subramanian to deliver a welcome address. Dr. Chandrika Subramanian, Solicitor and Barrister, Supreme Court of New South Wales and High Court of Australia, Fellow Asian Centre for Arbitration Kuala Lumpur and Indian Arbitration Council, an academic, a speaker and community leader, advisory member in many boards, certified blockchain advisor. She has in when I talk his education qualification, I need to take a long time. Simply, I say she has double doctorate and 4 post graduations and numerous diplomas and certifications in law, management, and mass media. Premiers, how many medal winner for 2019 New South Wales State, Citizen of the Year 2019 Cumberland Council, Woman of the West 2012, University of Western Sydney, nominee Justice Medal 2009 for the Justice Foundation, presented more than 100 research papers on various topics, and 35 books have been produced in Tamil and English. Her books on cyber law and cybercrime and women and media have received prestigious awards from Indian government and university. May I request on your behalf to invite Dr. Chandrika Subramanian to deliver her welcome and inaugural address.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suresh Kumar, for introducing me. It can be short. We are all just doing the Thirukkural. That's all we need, that introduction. We are Tamils and we are for Thirukkural. Let me begin my salutations to Mother Tamil and start this inaugural address. ஐக்கிய ராஜ்ய சபை தமிழ்துறை இன்று லா அண்ட் ஜஸ்டிஸ், அதாவது சட்டம் பற்றிய தொடர்பாக திருக்குறளில் இருக்கக்கூடிய கருத்துக்களை சொல்லுவதற்காக இந்த நிகழ்வை ஏற்பாடு செய்திருக்கின்றது. இன்டர்நேஷனல் திருக்குறள் ஃபவுண்டேஷன் Mauritius, தமிழ் வளர்ச்சி மன்றம் ஆஸ்திரேலியா, வாய்ஸ் ஆஃப் வள்ளுவர் ஃபேமிலி இந்தியா, ValaiTamil and ஐக்கிய ராஜ்ய தமிழ்துறை have jointly organized this program in order to explore the law and justice elements in Thirukkural. While doing that, we should start with the purpose of this program is to identify the role and value of Thirukkural in promoting universality. Understand the importance of Thirukkural as a universal literature, creation of action plan to encourage learning Thirukkural among the next generation, to celebrate and promote Thirukkural and Thiruvalluvar all over the world, to take Thirukkural as a universal literature to the UNESCO. The involvement will include a high-level intellectual involvement, engage the next generation, following up the action plans, partnership for follow-up initiatives with various organizations who aim to do the same. Following the very successful International Thirukkural Conference organized jointly by Tamil Valarchi Mandram and International Thirukkural Foundation Mauritius in 2019 in Sydney University, associated with Sydney University, with an underpinning theme, Thirukkural and Peace and Harmony in Sydney. In 2020, we did an online theme, Thirukkural and Multiculturalism, in association with SRM University. We decided to organize the conferences in various parts of the world to promote international understanding of Thirukkural as it's a universal literature, highlighting its universal nature. Beginning of this year, Dr. Parasuraman held one in Mauritius, which was online, and following which the Voice of Valluvar held one, and this is the third of that series. And thank you, Dr. Siva Pillai, for organizing this with the ஐக்கிய ராஜ்ய தமிழ் துறை. Professor Arumugam Parasuraman, President of International Thirukkural Foundation Mauritius, and myself, and Dr. C. Rajendran, founder coordinator of Voice of Valluvar Family Association, with all kinds of association, we thought we should do this, and ValaiTamil also supported us that they will be the promoter for us to do this. With this aim, Thirukkural is a literature which holds the recordings of human values, spirit, and thus has universal appeal. This conference will unleash potential of the ancient literature Thirukkural as a book of the world, which perfectly suits the modern lifestyle, which will expose its universal values at world level. The goals and objectives of this program is to celebrate and promote Thirukkural and Thiruvalluvar. There have been 7 Thirukkural conferences so far, as I mentioned earlier. the universal values nurtured by Thirukkural have been explored in those conferences. Thirukkural's competency is to be universal literature has been recognized in this journey. This will lead us to take Thirukkural as a universal literature to the world through UNESCO. With this aim, today our speaker will be sharing his experience as a lawyer, and he will highlight the law and justice part of Thirukkural to the audience today. I once again thank all the people who are involved in that, especially the Aikyarajyathurai Tamilthurai for organizing tonight's program. Thank you very much for this opportunity to do this inaugural speech. Thank you.
Put it in a nutshell, taking Thirukkural as an international literature. Simple, very well explained. Thank you so much. Now it's time to invite Shiva Pillai Ayya. Mr. Shiva Pillai was former computer officer in the Department of Educational Studies, Goldsmith College, University of London, and a lecturer in ICT at Southwark College. Now he is a visiting lecturer there. He is the present director of Tamil Academy of Language and Arts and principal examiner of EdExcel Tamil Language. He is in the advisory board for International Thirukkural Foundation and executive council member of Tamil Studies UK. Now I request Mr. Shiva Pillai to present all aspects about Tamil Studies UK. Thank you.
Dear friends, thank you for attending today's conference. And also I'm very pleased to see people from different parts of the world, from east to west, and different times, even though we are happy to invite you. Thank you. SOAS, founded in 1916, is a world-renowned education institution for the studying in the University of London, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. The campus is equipped with a library containing 150,000 prominent documents and many special manuscripts. In 1920, Don Metro D. Vikramasinghe, a prominent inspiration from Sri Lanka, worked as a Tamil editor. The Tamil scholars like world-famous people Dr. John Maw, Stuart Blackburn, and David Solomon. And the Thiruvallur statue of London is also installed in the campus, this college, at the entrance, you can see. The SOAS department, which has been functioning for more than 75 years, and it has been financed by the UK government. So they financed SOAS department to run. And also, why the Tamil department in London? That's the first question we all ask is. There are over 300,000 people of Tamils are living in United Kingdom. They are the immigrants from near Tamil Nadu, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Malaysia, and Mauritius. Of these, the number of second, third generation Tamils who speak Tamil as a spoken and written language is declining sharply. Students who are interested in learning Tamil are also interested in learning European languages. They are unable to continue the Tamil studies because there's no facilities now at the degree. In addition to the students who want to study Tamil, unable to continue the studies at the universities due to the lack of university courses in Tamil. Bringing the Tamil sector in London will be to solve the practical problem and make Tamil rooted in Europe. Why Tamil students studies at SOAS University of London? SOAS University of London, as I said earlier, from 1916, they are teaching Tamil language. However, as a result of increasing cuts by the government funding, regional languages such as Tamil are no longer taught at SOAS. Reinstating this language at the university in the heart of London is vital for the Tamil diaspora to pursue the Tamil studies and to sustain the language and culture. United Kingdom Tamil Department is the department offering BA, MA, and research studies at Tamil, prioritizing Tamil at SOAS University. To achieve their intention is to raise 10 million pounds, British pounds, and create a long-term deposits. With its revenue, the objectives of the UK Tamil Department is to design the required curriculum with the help of SOAS, design to editors and recruit educators and re-establish the Tamil Department. So for this, to reach this, we have an MOU, with the understanding of paper, which has been given by the head of the department on the July 18th, 2018. So on that day, we have received a letter and we formed the Tamil Studies UK to raise the fund. You can see why the SOAS department, SOAS University of London is situated in the middle of London. Tamil language has been taught here. So from 1916, Tamil sector has been inactive for the last 20 years. Due to the lack of government assistance, lack of long-term deposit, teaching of Tamil has been impossible. And persuade the undergraduate, postgraduate and research courses, we planned to reinstate the Tamil department at SOAS. As you know, there are about famous universities around SOAS, the world famous universities around SOAS, such as School of Advanced Study, University of London, Goldsmiths College, King's College, Queen's Mary, UCL, LSE, one very famous schools are very near to that one. Not only for that, very close to the research, especially for the research people. British Library is 1.1 kilometer distance, and the British Museum is 350 meters, and an archive place there is about 13.7 kilometers distance. So there's a nice opportunity in the location, geographically, the right place, the SOAS department to have their Tamil department. Now, come to the business, the property that we add to our next generation. The main purpose of the Tamil department fall off because of the less of fund. So 4 million established to long-term endowment for the Tamil studies scholarships, and 6 million long-term endowment for the establishment of academic chair, 10 million to establish the total amount Tamil studies for the UCAS. So this fund is not going to dissolve. It will be there as long as the university is there, or you can say as long as the world is there. It's an untouchable fund. Whatever income is generating from that fund is going to be used. There's no chance for the department to close. Even if SOS dissolve or disappear, we can move this fund to another university to continue the Tamil studies at that university. You see in the world famous, all over the world, there are 128 countries Tamils are living, as you know, the recent research. And Harvard University already started. SUNY Brook University in USA, all money raised already. University in Houston, they are raising the money. And Toronto, they are already raising the money. And United Kingdom, they are also raising the money. And there are so many Tamil chairs in Punjab University and Gujarat University in Calcutta. You can see so far, we have raised 72,374 pounds by the well-wishers funded for us. So this fund is going to be used to build up the Tamil department once we raise the full amount of money. So in conclusion, Tamil Thirukkural statue donated by the Tamil Nadu in 1996 is still Beauty University on London campus. Tamils coming to London are proud to see this statue. So many pictures have been taken. Our friend Dr. Parasuraman also and me both took a photograph, which we remember very well. The Tamils coming to London are proud to see statue. The blue color of the is unique feature of the world. So many people asking me why there's a mark on Thirukkural face. Yes, we can't touch it without the permission granted. Without the permission, we can't paint any on the statue. Therefore, it is waiting. We applied the permission. We are waiting to hear from them. To make it more special, the entire Tamil department restored and task bringing the Tamil education to the generation is certain to be accomplished by the government of Tamil preference. To contact anybody, you can always have this contribution to the Tamil Studies UK, and also you have contact files, contact email at tamilstudiesuk.org, and you can access the social website. To join, warmly invite all those who wish to contribute the forthcoming Tamil department campaign team. Use the email address and given above the information. We guarantee, as a Tamil Studies promises, no cash handling by the campaigners. All donations are only through the SOAS University London. All contributions are listed in the crowdfunding site. 100% of the funds go directly towards supporting the Tamil Studies SOAS. Fund raised will not be used for the campaign administration. All campaigners are volunteers. All the accounts are transparencies. anyone can see the account and any time at SOA's website. So anyone who would like to donate, please visit to the website and give your contribution for us to build as soon as possible. You can ask me when you can start. When the money raised, we can start. Even we can start tomorrow if you reach that money amount. மிக்க நன்றி. As Walter said, கலங்காது கண்ட வினைக்கண் துளங்காது தூக்கம் கடிந்து செயல். So once you decided, go ahead. Don't leave it behind. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Nandri, vanakkam. Thank you, Suresh.
Thank you, Siopulai Ayya. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving an excellent presentation about Tamil Studies UK. Now it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Arumugam Parasuraman, founder, President, International Thirukkural Foundation, and the chair of the conference. Dr. Arumugam Parasuraman, Minister of Education, Arts and Culture, and former Minister of Education for Science and Mauritius. He was in service between 1983 and 1995, and the Director and Representative of UNESCO between 1998 and 2011. After highly appreciated service in Mauritius, Dr. Parasuraman became a dedicated and renowned international civil servant. He joined the World Bank in 1997 as education policy advisor and coordinator of the education component of United Nations Special Initiative for Africa, administered by the World Bank. In 1998, he was appointed Director of UNESCO Division for the renovation of secondary and vocational education. And in 2000, he became the director of the same organization's Regional Bureau of Education in Africa. Before returning to UNESCO headquarters in Paris in 2004 to lead both the Secretariat of UNESCO Executive Board and that of governing bodies, serving therefore as a secretary of both the Executive Board and the General Conference. In 2009, Mr. Parasuraman was appointed Director of UNESCO New Delhi office and representative to Bhutan, India, Maldives, and Sri Lanka, where he served tirelessly until June 2011, when he retired and returned home to Mauritius. Mr. Arumugam Parasuraman is currently the founder president of the Global Rainbow Foundation. He is also founder president of the University of Third Age Mauritius. Since 2018, founder president of the International Thirukkural Foundation, European Goodwill Ambassador of Rise and Shine, regional representative for Africa on the Commonwealth of Learning Board of Governors. He has won many awards and recognition like National Award, Grand Officer of the Order of the Star and Key of the Indian Ocean, that is GOSK, Republic of Mauritius. ValaiTamil Mamani, I like that. ValaiTamil Mamani, awarded by Madras Development Society on the occasion of the second World Tamil Economic Conference 2011. Defimedia's 50th anniversary of Independence Award for the services to the education in Mauritius. Conferred degree of Doctor of Letters by Syndicate of Tamil University, Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu, India. Lifetime Achievement Award offered by International Tamil Language Foundation. So on. We welcome Dr. Parasuraman.
Mr. Suresh Kumar, thank you very much for this very kind introduction. But I would like to summarize all that by saying that all that you've heard about my achievements are thanks, first of all, to my wise but illiterate mother, who was my Shakti, and then my father, who taught me Thirukkural right from my childhood. And you could see that all the achievement that you could hear of what I've achieved in my career, I would I would pay tribute to the teachings of Thirukkural that my father inculcated in me right from my childhood. So therefore, I feel it now, it's my duty, like it is for many of us, to dedicate ourselves to ensure that Thirukkural goes to the world, goes to the wide world. That's why, therefore, we are all working actively in spite of the lockdown, in spite of the constraint with COVID-19. We are working dedicatedly to take Thirukkural to the world and to UNESCO. So with this brief introduction about myself, let me therefore first of all like to salute the distinguished panel, Mr. Suresh Kumar himself, who is our campaign coordinator, Dr. Chandrika Subramaniam, who is a pillar for this movement that we are doing to take Thirukkural to the world. He's been very active and done fantastic job promoting Thirukkural globally in Australia and also the parts of the world. An active member of our international Thirukkural conferences series. Then I have my distinguished and very close friend, Mr. Siva Pillai, who is the Executive Council member of the Tamil Studies UK. I must say he's also very dedicated and doing a lot for this initiative that we are taking. But what I would like to say that Siva Pillai has given us a wonderful presentation on the Tamil Studies UK and also the SOAS initiative there, the initiative they are taking to restore the Tamil chair at SOAS. He has made a very comprehensive presentation. I am fully associated with that. I have made a partial contribution and I'm going to continue supporting it. And as well, therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to invite all of you. Let's all the Tamilians, let's all the lovers of Tamil, but also the lovers of Thirukkural, because SOAS is so symbolic. You find a statue of Tiruvalluvar in the heart of London, in the heart of a prestigious university. And therefore, all Tamilians will be proud of this initiative and we should all join, contribute to make this initiative a reality in the very near future. So Siva Pillai, I would continue to support this initiative and we pray that Valluvar inspiration will support this initiative and we will see this chair established in the very near future. I would also, with these few observations, I would like very briefly, but it's my duty. There's one person behind the scene who's been doing all the technical work, who has now assumed full responsibility of all the logistics of running this conference. And this is my young friend, Partha Sarathi. I really admire this young man whom I met in Tamil Nadu recently, only a few months ago, but we became so close to each other. And I'm so amazed at the energy, the drive, and the remarkable contribution he has made to Thirukkural, but you will never see him in the front line. He always works in the background, but he's done tremendous work globally in the US, but now from Tamil Nadu, he's doing many initiatives to empower the young Tamilians, but at the same time, he is promoting Tamil language and Thirukkural in a remarkable way. So I would, two outstanding thing he has done is the production of 2 Kural apps, which is on Google, on Play Store. And these 2 apps on Kural is so user-friendly, so helpful to me. Whenever I'm in any event and I have to look for a Kural verse, I just use the app, I get the appropriate verse, and I could cite it. So I would like all of us to recognize Partha Sarathi for this excellent contribution. I have only briefly talked about what he's done, but we'll get him some time to talk and present those applications so that it can benefit the wide community. I would also like to share with you that on behalf of International Thirukkural Foundation, I've asked Partha Sarathi to give a helping hand to further develop our website and also our Facebook page to redynamize it so that it can be tools that we can use to take all these things globally. So thank you, Partha, for all that you're doing. And I would also like to thank Dr. Chandrika for bringing the international media, to cover our conferences, and all these will therefore be of great benefit in the mission of taking Thirukkural to the world. Well, with these words, let me also thank Mr. Dr. Kavidai Ganesan, who developed a special video which you must have received for their conference. And that I must say, very few people have shared it. They are so excited and enthusiastic. So now we've decided that Dr. Kavidai Ganesan will do a similar video for each other international conference we're organizing. He has no choice. We've chosen him as a volunteer for that. Let me also bring to your attention that the Tamil Nadu government, all these are important in the journey we are taking to go to UNESCO, to the world. The Tamil Nadu government has taken a very wise decision. In fact, in 2020, the Tamil development, there was a decree from the Ministry of Tamil Development, whereby they took a decision to recognize. They gave a government order to recognize Thirukkural as a world book and Tamil classical literary work, and also publication in world languages as per UNESCO formalities, and they will fully support this in UNESCO conference. I just want to sum it up. And the Minister of Tamil Development is the president of a special committee which has been set up to prepare for that. And I have been appointed also as member of this 9-member committee to work on this this committee, so that we can facilitate from the government of Tamil Nadu part all that we have to do to be able to succeed in our mission. And certainly also, we are also looking forward to the support from the central government of India. And I've recently written to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of India, who was in Mauritius. I've handed over a letter to him inviting central government to give us its support in this initiative. So with all this together, I'm confident that with the blessings of Tiruvalluvar and with all of us working towards this great mission, we will in due course see ourselves at UNESCO for this global conference on Thirukkural and the world. With these few words of introduction, I would like, my duty today is to introduce our distinguished speaker, and I will be introducing him shortly. But let me also bring to your kind attention that there has been a landmark judgment on Thirukkural in Tamil Nadu, and therefore we need to recognize and remember that, because this is yet a major landmark in the promotion of Thirukkural globally. And you know the story of it, where a senior citizen in Tamil Nadu, Mr. Rajaratnam, who was very upset with the current situation, deteriorating situation in terms of values and so on among youngsters and so on in Tamil Nadu, he appealed to the court to direct government to rectify the situation by introducing moral education in the schools through Thirukkural. He made it very strongly, and this matter was brought to the attention of, the case came for hearing in front of Honorable Justice Mahadevan of the Madras High Court, and he gave a remarkable judgment. I understand that he told me he will be attending our conference today. So if he's there, my respect to you, Honorable Justice Mahadevan. This is a great landmark, a unique landmark among all the sacred books that we have in the world. That for Thirukkural, there's a judgment directing the government, ordering the government of Tamil Nadu to include in the school curriculum as a compulsory subject the 108 chapters of Thirukkural between 6th standard to 12th standard. and government of Tamil Nadu has implemented this. So I believe this by itself is very significant. And as we debate on Thirukkural, UNESCO, and world peace, I'm sure this book, this judgment, will certainly be the subject of very in-depth study and research so that we can link Thirukkural to UNESCO mission in the field of education. But most importantly, the great UNESCO mission, which states in the preamble to the Constitution of UNESCO, I quote, "Since wars begins in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace must be built." So I believe this gives us all the um, foundation for us to move forward towards this global initiative. But I would also probably like to share with you one or two comments. One is from Albert Schweitzer, who said, "There hardly exists in the literature of the world a collection of maxims in which you find such lofty wisdom as in Thirukkural." And Professor Maurice Winter-Netis from Austria said, "Valluvar Kural is one of the gems of world literature. He stands above all races, caste, and sex, and what he teaches is a general human morality and wisdom." So I believe these is more than enough for me to indicate how important is our mission. Well, let me now come to the most important part of our conference today, which is inviting our speaker, our distinguished speaker, whom I happen to meet many years ago with my children. And I'm so happy to be reconnected. And I thank Mr. Siva Pillai to have discovered him and brought him to us. And today we are having you live for this presentation. So Mr. Sellathamby Sriskandarajah, he was born in Jaffna as a son of Proctor Manikam Selvathamby. He graduated in bioscience from the University of Madras in India, joined the Department of Educational Publication, where he was employed as a translator of textbook. Thereafter, he qualified as an advocate of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka in 1970 and worked in the Ministry of Justice as Crown Counsel and then as a senior assistant legal draftsman until 1980 when he moved to Nigeria, where he taught law and English. Upon coming to England, he joined the London School of Economics and Political Science, the London University, and obtained his master's degree in law and qualified as a Solicitor of England and Wales. He then joined the Government Legal Service of the UK, where he served as a principal legal officer until his retirement. Whereas Mr. Sriskandarajah's professional career was in the field of law, Tamil language, literature, Saiva philosophy, and Tamil arts have been his consuming interests. He's a poet, an experienced radio presenter, public speaker, and debater. He's a regular writer to papers, periodicals, and journals, and has contributed many articles, both in English and Tamil, to various papers, magazines, and journals. While working in Sri Lanka, he has translated many science textbooks and legislative enactments, including subsidiary legislation. Up to now, he has written 15 books, of which 2 are on the subject of law and the rest on matters relating to poetry, grammar, philosophy, Tamil ethics, classical literature, and Tamil epics. Mr. Sriskandarajah, who currently lives in England, is married with 2 children, one of whom is a lawyer, while the other is a medical doctor. Mrs. Martini Sriskandarajah, who is also a well-known Tamil classical vocalist, is a retired civil servant of the UK government. So we couldn't have a better distinguished personality than Mr. Sriskandarajah to address us today on a very important topic, which distinguishes Thirukkural, which is the law and justice in Thirukkural and how it connects with our mission of taking Thirukkural to the world to bring world peace. We all know how legal institutions has all the international legal instruments that we have, International Court of Justice, the United Nations, UNESCO, all of them, how all of them, depend very much on true justice to ensure peace and global peace. So therefore, this theme is so central to our mission of taking Thirukkural to the world to UNESCO for world peace. Let me only mention that in the Thirukkural, there are a number of chapters, a number of verses which are dedicated to the legal profession. That is, I think, which is very interesting. In fact, the 3 chapters from 55 to 57 are dedicated for judges. And the following Kural is an example of it, Kural 547, which says, judge defends all, but justice defends judges. And you can find other quotation, but I would also like to share with you the one which is, you have various verses for the judges and which guide them in the way. And in Tamil Nadu, it's very common. I know many of the judges, many of the advocates, while pleading cases in the Supreme Court, they would refer to the Thirukkural. They would quote Thirukkural verses to guide them and in the mission of doing justice. So that, I believe, is very important. And therefore, I must say that this topic we are going to listen to today is a very important one. And we know that Mr. Sriskandarajah will do justice to that, being himself such an eminent lawyer, but also, in addition to being an eminent lawyer, such a great promoter, such a great erudite in Thirukkural. On to you now, respected Sriskandarajah. Mikka Nandri.
Thank you, sir, and welcome, Sri Sellathamby Sriskandarajah.
தலைவர் அவர்களுக்கும் இன்றைய இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியிலே கலந்து கொள்கின்ற ஏனையோருக்கும் எனது பணிவு கலந்த அன்பான வணக்கம். இப்படி ஒரு நிகழ்ச்சி நடைபெற இருக்கிறது என்றும் அந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில் தெய்வ திருக்குறள் பற்றி அடியேன் ஆங்கிலத்தில் பேச வேண்டும் என்றும் நண்பர் சிவபுகுநாத பிள்ளை அவர்கள் கேட்டபோது நான் சற்று மறுகினேன். ஆங்கிலத்தில் ஏன் பேச வேண்டும் என்று நான் அவரை கேட்டேன். ஆங்கிலத்தில் பேச வேண்டும் என்பதற்காகத்தானே உங்களை கேட்கிறேன் என்றார் அவர். இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை செவிமடுக்க போகின்றவர்கள் தமிழர்கள் தானே என்றேன் நான். ஆமாம், தமிழர்கள் தான். ஆனால் தமிழர் அல்லாதவர்களும் இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை செவிமடுக்க கூடும். அதனால்தான் ஆங்கிலத்தில் பேசுமாறு அழைக்கிறேன் என்றார். அவருடைய ஆசையும் ஆர்வமும் எனக்கு புரிந்தது. ஆனாலும் எனக்குள்ளே ஒருவித தயக்கம், ஒரு தவிப்பு. நான் போற்றுகின்ற திருக்குறளை, என் தாய்மொழியில் இயன்ற திருக்குறளை என்னவர்களோடு பகிர்ந்து கொள்வதற்கு ஆங்கிலமா வேண்டும் என்று ஒரு சங்கடம். ரவீந்திரநாத் தாகூர் ஒரு முறை மொழிபெயர்ப்பு பற்றி கூறியதாக படித்த செய்தி ஒன்று நினைவுக்கு வந்தது. தன்மொழி அல்லாத வேறொரு மொழியில் பேசுவது என்பது தன்னுடைய மனைவியோடு பேசுவதற்கு பேச்சு மொழிபெயர்ப்பாளன் ஒருவனை வைத்துக் கொள்வது போன்றது என்று தாகூர் சொன்னார் என்ற ஒரு கதை. வாழையிலே சோற்றை படைத்து அதன் மேல் மணங்குணமான சாம்பாரை ஊற்றி பிசைந்து சாப்பிட்டு சுவை கண்டவர்கள் நாங்கள். அப்படியான நம்மிடம் கரண்டியையும் முள்ளுக்கரண்டியையும் தந்து சாம்பாரில் ஊற்றிய சோற்றை உண்ணும்படி கேட்டால் சோற்றவள்கள் சிந்தி போகவா? ஆடையும் அலங்கோலப்படாதா? வாழையிலையும் கிழிந்து போகாதா? அறம் என்ற சொல்லுக்கு உலக மொழிகள் எதிலுமே சரி இணையான சொல்லில்லை. அது மட்டுமன்று, அறம் என்ற சொல்லுக்கு எத்தனை பொருள்கள், எத்தனை இடங்களில் கொடுத்திருக்கிறார் திருவள்ளுவர். திருக்குறளிலே 24 குறள்கள் அறம் என்ற சொல்லை முதலாக கொண்டு தொடங்குகின்றன. அதே போல 28 குறள்களின் நடுவே அறம் என்ற சொல் பயிலப்பட்டிருக்கின்றது. ஆனால் இந்த 52 இடங்களிலும் அறம் என்ற சொல்லுக்கு அவர் நுட்பமான வெவ்வேறு பொருள்கள் கொடுத்திருக்கிறார். வேறுபாடு கொள்ளாத வித்தியாசங்கள் கொண்ட சொல் இந்த அறம் என்ற சொல். There are distinctions without differences. இந்த சொல்லின் இடத்துக்கிடம் வேறுபடும் நுட்பத்தை தமிழில் விளக்குவதற்கே பெரும்பாடுபட வேண்டும். இவ்வாறு திட்ட நுட்பம் சொறிந்த திருக்குறளின் அமைப்பை, நோக்கை, அதன் சட்ட அமைப்பை, நீதிமுறையை ஆங்கிலத்தில் விளக்குவது எப்படி என்று தயங்கி மறுகினேன். இருப்பினும் அன்பு கட்டளைக்கு சேர்ந்தேன். கையால் சாப்பிடுவது போன்ற சுவையை ஏற்படுத்த முடியாது என்பதை உணர்கிறேன். இருந்தாலும் முயல்வேன். Mr. Chairman, learned co-speakers, Tamil lovers all over the world, a very good day to you all. I count it as a great honor to be invited to speak on this occasion, which is aimed at placing Thirukkural on the shelves of world-renowned books of great ideals, capable of enhancing happiness and peace in this world, which is currently riddled with strife and struggles. The Tamils have never been good at marketing. This was not because they did not know how to do marketing. No, not at all. It was because they did not want to do marketing. Tamils were and are a great people, but they do not want to advertise that they are great or that they were great. They were very humble. Their extreme sense of humility prevented them from blowing their own trumpet. To be humble is good, but to be too humble is not that good. It is because of this humbleness it took us so long to convince the North Indian rulers, as well as the world community at large, to recognize Tamil language as a classic and classical language, whereas Sanskrit, which is replete with mantras and metaphysical words in the form of the Vedas and the Upanishads, was recognized as a classical language long ago. The Tamil language, which has a vast and voluminous literature covering variegated areas of human aspirations and knowledge, was reluctantly recognized as a classical language only about 10 years ago, after a Herculean task. Why? Because we did not push. Pushing need not be taken as boasting. English people may say that a good wine needs no bush, but that's not correct. If others don't recognize you, you must make them recognize you. You must advertise. More so, if you are really great, to be recognized, but are not recognized by the vulgar and the wicked world. Today's world is a world of advertisements. Puff, business puff is the order of the day. English people are very good at that game of puffing. Among the English poets, Wordsworth was known for his modesty and sobriety. When it came to his own language, he could not contain his modesty, and he wrote, "We are the greatest on earth, and we speak the language which Shakespeare and Milton spoke." Thomas Carlyle was another great English writer. When he was asked to choose between British Empire and Shakespeare, he proudly said, "Empire or no empire, we will have Shakespeare. Such is the love which English scholars have for their language. I don't blame them for their nationalism. My wish is that we Tamils also should be passionate, very passionate about our literary possessions like them. In the 13th century, there lived a Jain sage in Tamil Nadu called Pavanandi Munivar. He was a great scholar and a grammarian. He was the author of the Tamil grammar called Nannul. He said, you must raise your voice. If our achievements are ignored, we must raise our voice. This is what he said. I will state that in the original form in Tamil. மண்ணுடை மன்றத்து ஓலை தூக்கினும் தன்னுடை ஆற்றல் உணரார் இடையிலும் மன்னிய அவையிடை வெல்லுறு பொழுதினும் தன்னை மறுதலை பழித்த காலையும் தன்னை புகழ்தலும் தகும்புல ஊர்க்கே என்பது நன்னூலின் 53வது சூத்திரம். If I could paraphrase this in the English language, I may render it as follows. Whenever you are present in the assembly of the learned, presided over by a king, or in the midst of haughty poets who are reluctant to recognize you, or whenever people try to belittle your abilities and qualities, it will not be deemed bad or demeaning if you attempt to blow your own trumpet. Mahakavi Bharatiyar endorsed the view of Pavanandi Munivar when he declared and proclaimed to the world in the following terms and tenor. Yamarinda மொழிகளிலே தமிழ் மொழி போல் இனிதாவது எங்கும் காணோம். Let me read my translation of Bharati's stanza first and then come to the Tamil original. This is what he said. Among the languages in which we have skill, we cannot find anywhere still any language sweeter than Tamil. Is it honorable for us to live without any sense of shame while being disparaged by the whole world as a race of unlettered animals of the wild? Everything possible we must do in every corner of this world to disseminate the ideals of the Tamils. தமிழை வாசிக்கிறேன். யாமறிந்த மொழிகளிலே தமிழ் மொழி போல் இனிதாவது எங்கும் காணோம். பாமரராய் விலங்குகளாய் உலகதற்கு நிகழ்ச்சி சொல்ல பான்மை கட்டு நாமமது தமிழர் எனக் கொண்டு இங்கு வாழ்ந்திடுதல் நன்றோ சொல்லீர் தேமதுர தமிழோசை உலகமெல்லாம் பரவும் வகை செய்தல் வேண்டும். He did not stop at that. He went further and listed the great Tamil poets in the next stanza. Again, please permit me to read the translation of it in English first. He proclaimed, among all the poets that we have known, they haven't in the world so far born poets of the caliber of Kamban, Valluvan, or the great Ilangovan. This is a stark fact, not a hyperbole. We are eking out an existence in no way better than those of the dumb, the blinds, and the deafs. Listen, please, to me, if only for once. If you are to flourish as the ancient race of glory, ensure that Tamil is spoken in all nooks and corners of the world. Let me now read the Tamil original. யாமறிந்த புலவரிலே கம்பனை போல் வள்ளுவர் போல் இளங்கோவை போல் பூமிதனில் யாங்கனுமே பிறந்ததில்லை. உண்மை, வெறும் புகழ்ச்சி இல்லை. ஊமையராய் செவிடர்களாய் குருடர்களாய் வாழ்கின்றோம். ஒரு சொல் கேளீர், சேமமுற வேண்டுமெனில் தெருவெல்லாம் தமிழ் முழக்கம் செழிக்க செய்வீர். This is exactly what this conference is trying to do through events of this kind. Having heaved his heart thus, Bharati wanted our treasury of literature to be made known to the whole world so that the whole humanity could benefit from them and attain peace and harmony. He expressed this desire of his in the following terms. திறமான புலமையெனில் வெளிநாட்டோர் அதை வணக்கம் செய்தல் வேண்டும். இந்த வணக்கம் செய்தல் என்றது சரியில்லை என்று நினைத்தோ என்னமோ ஒரு சில பதிப்பாளர்கள் வணங்க செய்தல் வேண்டும் என்றே எழுதியிருக்கிறார்கள். அவர்கள் வணங்காவிட்டால் நீங்கள் வணங்க செய்யும். அந்த மறு பாடமாக அவர்கள் பதிப்பித்ததை நான் மகிழ்ச்சியோடு ஏற்றுக்கொண்டேன். பிற நாட்டு நல்லறிஞர் சாத்திரங்கள் தமிழ் மொழியில் பெயர்த்தல் வேண்டும். இரவாத புகழுடைய புது நூல்கள் தமிழ் மொழியில் இயற்றல் வேண்டும். மறைவாக நமக்குள்ளே பழங்கதைகள் சொல்வதிலோ மகிமை இல்லை. திறமான புலமையெனில் வெளிநாட்டோர் அதை வணக்கம் செய்தல் வேண்டும். The great works of foreign scholars should be rendered into Tamil language. New works of immortal fame and name should be created and published in Tamil. There is no point in boasting or basking in the glory of your ancient past. If Tamil scholarship is of any merit, the foreign scholars must come to salute it. There is no doubt that Thirukkural is the greatest example of Tamil scholarship. We must make the foreign scholars salute it. The best place for it is UNESCO. Let me say a few words about the UNESCO also. Article 1 of the Constitution of the UNESCO spells out the purposes and functions of the organization. It articulates that the purpose of the organization is to contribute to peace and security by promoting collaboration among the nations of the world through education, science and culture in order to further universal respect for justice, for the rule of law, and for the human rights and fundamental freedoms without distinction of race, sex, language, or religion. It is almost 75 years since the UNESCO Constitution was adopted by 20 countries, including India, in the year 1945. If we step back and ask the question, has it made any progress on the stated objectives? The world is not able to give a convincing or comfortable affirmative answer. Individual nations are today a part of the worldwide human society. But that worldwide human society does not have the structure and safeguards of a civilized community. Within a nation, we may be living under some sort of rule of law, at least to some extent. Within the nation, we share common purposes and promote general welfare. What are available within a nation are lacking in the worldwide human society. We do not aim at the general welfare of the humankind, but pursue our political and parochial national interests. The so-called world peace, which we now have, is only an armed peace. A peace created due to the fear of arms, which each nation is bent on developing and sharpening. This is because the nations wrongly believe that if you want peace, you must get ready for war. The present state of armed peace is untenable and is gradually becoming impossible. Iran is threatening America. North Korea is intimidating Japan. Each nation is spending on armaments much more than what it does on education, science, human rights, and culture. The abolition of war is the most important thing for the advancement of education, science, culture, and human freedoms. Absence of war is the sign of equipoise. It is only in a state of mental equipoise constructive education, science, and culture could thrive. Unless we bring about a new climate of balanced opinion, total annihilation may take us. If we go on experimenting with nuclear weapons and manufacturing them and use such weapons as income generators by exporting them to countries which are power hungry, sooner or later, a time will come when some of those nuclear weapons will go off. It may be a deliberate attempt by one of the great powers or an accidental blunder by some subordinate idiotic officer or an inefficient fool. Pakistan, in fact, recently threatened India along those lines. We cannot assume all humans to be rational and sane at all times. A temporary madness will suffice. This is what Adolf Hitler suffered from, a transitory insanity. The mere banning of nuclear tests on nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction is not enough. You may be able to ban the test and destroy the weapons, but can you destroy the dangerous and lethal knowledge of technical know-how? No, we can't. As long as nations suspect one another and live in a state of fear, there will be no security for any nation. There will be no security or safety for any nation in a divided and suspicious world. Therefore, what is needed is the dissipation of the clouds of fear, suspicion, and distrust. The great powers are suffering from a persecution complex. Russia feels that the socialist and communist countries are being encircled and targeted. America does not want to forget Pearl Harbor. Japan does not want to forget Hiroshima. No more do governments rely on the good faith of others. Unless suspicion is displaced and replaced by trust and faith, there cannot be much hope. If that is the case, what is the way forward? Is the big question. Human instinct to survive is eternally there, and that is bound up with a sense of human solidarity. The real knowledge that human survival depends on the practice of tolerance may enable us to practice this virtue of tolerance. Thirukkural has spent a chapter on this theme of forbearance. The differences which divide the nations become slight and smaller when we look at the great threat which humanity is facing today. Nobody will derive pleasure from living in this world if it is not united, because a disunited world is always fraught with danger, and this could catastrophically explode any moment. The world will be united only if each of us learn to reconcile different civilizations and different traditions. At the level of nations, the leaders of those nations should meet, openly discuss, understand each other's fears, suspicions, and difficulties, and try to remove such fears, suspicions, and difficulties. Political subjection of peoples is great tension that gives rise to military conflicts. Just look at Myanmar, the old Burma. Subjection of the Burmese people is now threatening the world. Intolerance on the part of the military rulers in that country is threatening world peace. Look at Syria. Look at China and Hong Kong. Look at China and Taiwan. Look at Belarus. Look at Russia. The enslaved people there are suffocating. They want freedom. They want freedom from fear and poverty. The whole structure of subjection and tyranny depends on the foundation of ignorance. Want of proper education is the cause for ignorance and the resultant tyranny. Political freedom alone will not bring peace to the globe. Political freedom must be accompanied by a simultaneous liberation of the peoples from the social ills as well as economic ills. Until and unless we recognize people as equals, social ills can never be removed. Unless humans become springs of compassion and respect others for their views and feelings, and realize that everyone on the earth needs to be fed and cared for, economic and social ills cannot be removed. It was only with a view to ending these two evils that the UNESCO was created. These two evils can be removed only through education, technology, and the cultivation of people's heart through culture. This is the very reason why these three ideals happen to be the motto of UNESCO. Civilization will not yield good if it does not move hand in hand with culture. Mark the difference between civilization and culture. Civilization is external, culture is internal. Civilization is the availability of external facilities and comforts. Culture is the development of fellow feeling, the feeling of oneness with others, the feeling that we are all equals. Unless we learn to feel that we all are equal, the advancement in science and technology in the name of civilization will not give us peace. Culture is the culmination of learning. Culture is the culmination of learning. The purpose of learning is to acquire culture. The word culture is pregnant with many meanings. Culture is the word used to describe the progressive subjugation of the animal in man. The progressive subjugation of animal in man. We as humans should begin to function as animal tamers. The hope of UNESCO is that through education, science, and culture, the humanity could be taught loving kindness, which Walliver calls Anbu, and universal charity, which Walliver calls Aru. அருளெனும் அன்பின் குளவி பொருளெனும் செல்வ செவிலியால் உண்டு என்பார் வள்ளுவர். In spite of the fact that the great inventions have liberated us from servitude to nature, we appear to be suffering from a type of neurosis due to lack of culture or cultural disintegration. Science might have to a degree relieved us from grinding poverty, besides mitigating tortures of physical pain, but we still continue to suffer from an inward loneliness, an inexplicable anxiety. To remove this internal loneliness, we need a moral and spiritual revolution embracing the whole world. This could be achieved only through looking inwards rather than outwards and listening to the voice inside called conscience, which is the repository of fairness and justice. Fairness and justice are the source of kindness. That is what Walliver said. Said Thirukkural has in his Thirukkural laid down certain rules and regulations, a strict adherence to which will help us to build up loving kindness and universal charity, both of which are sine qua non for the attainment of world peace. So, what is it that is great about Thirukkural? In Tamil tradition and vocabulary, they would say, பூவென்றால் தாமரை, ஊரென்றால் திருவாரூர், கோயில் என்றால் சிதம்பரம். If you simply say flower, it can only mean lotus flower, Nilambium religiosa. If you simply say town, it can only mean Tiruvarur. If you simply say temple, it can only mean Sidambaram in Tiruvannamalai. Likewise, in the English-speaking Christian world also, if one says the book, it can only mean the book, namely the Bible, because Bible is deemed to be the greatest among all books in the Christendom. English dictionaries define the term Bible as a comprehensive book regarded as the ultimate authority on its subject, that being a book in the Christian world. Therefore, it would be right to say that Bible is the ultimate authority, but only on the limited subject of Christian religion. Bible is a religious book, though it is the ultimate authority on the subject of Christianity. In contradistinction to this, Thirukkural is a secular and neutral book, which is comprehensive and all-pervading, besides being free from any bias on the basis of caste, creed, or faith. In that sense, it would be right to say that the expression "the book" is better applicable to the Thirukkural than to the Bible, as the Thirukkural is a book for the whole world, the whole global community. Plato was a student of Socrates. who is said to have lived in Athens, Greece, during the 3rd or 4th century BC. Many of the philosophical sayings of Plato appear to be identical with, or at least similar to, the maxims of Thirukkural. By reason of these similarities, some Westerners rush to conclude that Thirukkural could have borrowed these ideas from Greece. Great minds think alike. It's an English idiom. Thoughts are universal. Nobody can claim monopoly to knowledge and wisdom. This is why Vivekananda said that education is the manifestation of knowledge already in human. Manifestation of knowledge already in human. That being the case, it is not impossible to assume that Thirukkural and Plato thought alike, wrote alike, without knowing or hearing of each other. There are reasons to think that there are certain things where their views are diametrically opposite. Let me quote one instance to prove my point. Though Thirukkural and Plato agree in relation to their views and ultimate purpose of life, there are certain points where their views are a sharp variance. On the point of global approach, and on the point that all humans are children of the Almighty, Thirukkural is head and shoulders above Plato. Plato, who was very passionate about the welfare of his, extended his feeling of sympathy and kindness beyond the boundaries of Greece. The following statement of Plato, contained in one of his letters, exposes his mental bent. This is what he said: I am grateful to God for having been born as a noble Greek and not as a barbarian, for having been born as a freeman and not as a slave, for having been born as a man and not as a woman. Above all, I am grateful to God for having been born during the time of Socrates. The above statement of Plato suggests that slavery was acceptable to him, and that he was of the view that males are superior to females. Plato felt elated that he was born as a male and not as a female. As for Thirukkural, humanity is one, same and equal. There was no high, no low among humans. Thirukkural's view of humanity was exactly the same as the one expressed by Kaniyan Pungundan in Purananuru, where he declared thus: Yadumure, Yavarum Kelir, Thidum Nandrum Puradravara, Nodalum Tanidalum Avaturan, Sadalum Puduvadamre, Waldal Gilidana Maurindandru Milame, Munidin Inadu Emblem Milame, Minnod Vanan Tantuli Talai Kaliburdirank Mallet Perjatu, Nibali Padum Punepol Arvir, Morevali Padum Enpadu, Tirabor, Kachil, Telindana Magalin, Machil, Periore Vietale Vilame, Siriore Ikalvel Adanilame. Let me give my own translation of this Purnanuru poem. Any country is our country. Any person is our kin. Pain and pleasure come not from others. Same is true with suffering and cure. Death is but natural. We don't rejoice when life tastes sweet, nor do we fret when it turns miserable. Clear as we are from the divination of our ancients great, that our souls follow a course charted already like a boat that follows the path of the water in a fast-moving long river that gushes and crashes the rocks that block its course after a downpour, accompanied by thunder and lightning. We idolize not anyone because they are great, nor disparage anyone as they are infamous. From the foregoing, it will be evident that this is preposterous to say that Thirukkural borrowed from Plato. Plato did not have the altruistic and global outlook which Valluvar has displayed in the Thirukkural. And we come back to the starting point. Why do we say that Thirukkural is a book of all times and for all people, of all climes, and therefore should adorn the UNESCO libraries? One of the noteworthy aspects of the Quran is that it, by and large, starts with the individual as a natural and viable unit of change and reform. And then only he proceeds to deal with the community of polity as a whole. History has been consistently hammering into our heads that the attempts to reform or revolutionize the outlook, attitude, or character of people from without, namely from outside, have often ended in failure. Any root and branch moral change, for it to succeed, must come from within the individual, from inside the individual, through personal conviction or through personal persuasion, and not through imposition, coercion, or regimentation from outside. However, being a humanist and an individualist, chose rightly to start at the micro level and then to proceed to macro level. That is why he started with Illarvial, domestic life, as the first subject of his moral laws. A perusal of Thirukkural will reveal that Thirukkural has based his rules and conduct on a couple of foundational principles. Those principles are a sine qua non, indispensable ones, as the welfare of the people is the purpose of law in any country. Thiruvallur was rooted in this belief. This is the edifice on which Vallur has constructed his ethical code called Thirukkural. There is a legal maxim in Latin which reads as follows: Salus populi suprema lex esto. Salus populi suprema lex esto. This may translate as any of the following: the welfare of the people should be the supreme law, or let the good of the people be the supreme law. This is a maxim found in the Roman Cicero's law book also. The welfare of a society can be taken care of only when it is drummed into the psyche of each and every one that all humans are created equal by the Almighty. Namely, that all humans are born free. This is what, as recently as the 18th century, Rousseau of France also emphasized when he proclaimed that all men are born free, but everywhere in chains. But Thiruvallur declared this 2000 years ago in 2 lines when he said, Pirapokkumella uyirkum, Pirapokkumella uyirkum, Sirappova seidolil vetrumeyam. This was echoed by Thirumular in the Tirumandram also, when he proclaimed, Onre Kulam, Oruvane Devan. Humanity is one, God is also one. All humans are born equal, yet in public opinion they may be seen as unequal depending on one's vocation or career in general. It may also be varied by one's deeds as an individual based on their individual nature. But among all humans, there should prevail unrestricted equality, law and justice, rights and duties, opportunities and liberties. This is the first and foremost constitutional law provision Thiruvallur lays down for his ideal society. As constitution is the mother of all laws, all other laws contained in the Thirukkural flow and follow only from this cardinal and constitutional law of Pirapokkum ella virkum, Sirapova seidolil vetrumeyam. The corollary of this cardinal principle is that everybody should be treated equally and that there should be no distinction or differentiation on the basis of caste, creed, color, class, or economic status. Having made it clear as to what kind of society Vallur wished to see, he goes on enumerating the various rules of conduct, which I call laws, in the form of Qurans, in the first part of his magnum opus, namely Arattupal. Arattupal means a section dealing with rules that should be observed for a fair and just society. Though most of the essential rules of conduct aimed at attaining an equitable society are contained in the Arattupal, the second part called Purupal also contains some complementary rules of conduct. Though Vallur says that all are born equal, he is not unaware that the status of equality cannot be maintained unless the citizens are free from the want of food. He therefore declares that The status of haves and have-nots should not be there. In other words, citizens should not be in a state of begging. The question of begging should not be there at all. If such a condition were to be true, were to be there, then this earth should not be there. Even the creator of such earth has no place in the universe. Pulver declares, இறந்து உயிர் வாழ்தல் வேண்டி இறந்து உயிர் வாழ்தல் வேண்டி பரந்து கெடுக உலகியற்றியான். Let me translate this Quran. If it is the supreme order of the creator of the earth that some people should live by begging, then that is not cricket. That very creator himself should perish begging. What Wulver implies by this is that if people are created equal by the creator, then he should not allow this kind of inequality among the citizens. Inequality of haves and have-nots. Wulver hastens to add that even if the creator makes that blunder, fellow citizens should not allow the situation to continue. It is incumbent on the co-citizens to remove this imbalance. This furious wrath of Wulver was re-echoed by Mahahavi Bharati also when he blasted, இனியொரு விதி செய்வோம், அதை எந்த நாளும் காப்போம், தனியொருவனுக்கு உணவில்லையெனில் இந்த சகத்தினை அழித்திடுவோம். This is what Wulver exhorts in chapter on Oppuravarigal, which is chapter number 22. The meaning of this expression, Oppuravarigal, has been hackneyed and debased by many, including Perimal Alagar. You must bear with me for this stand that I am taking on this Quran. Oppuravarigal means the awareness that all humans are equal. Oppuravarigal is a level playing field. That humans are equal and that an inequality should be leveled and equal. Quran number 214 states that it is he who realizes that all are equal and does everything to remove the existing equality who could be said to be living. Which is a literature that says this. The mental maturity, qualification, treating everybody as equal cannot be acquired easily. That is why he allocated 4 for education. Chapters 40, 41, 43, 43, namely learning, lack of learning or not learning, learning by listening, and true understanding. The fruit of learning is wisdom. And the end product of wisdom is virtuous conduct, called ஒழுக்கம். கல்வி கேள்விகளில் அற்றம் காக்கின்ற அறிவு, அறிவு அற்றம் காக்கும் திருவாரம் அழிக்கலாதன். அறிவின் பயன் ஒழுக்கம். அதனால் தான் கல்வி கேள்வி அறிவு ஒழுக்கங்களில் சிறந்தான் என்னும் தொடரை உருவாக்கும். In one of his Qurans on education, he exhorts, கற்க, கசடர கற்க, கற்றவை கற்றபின் நிற்க அதற்குத்தாக. Here also, I disagree with the traditional interpretation given to this. This is another example where the Quran has been generally and misconstrued by many. Traditional interpretation of this particular Quran is that Allah is telling us of the manner of learning anything. That is to learn it thoroughly without doubts or ambiguity. In my view, Wulver is not telling us about the manner of learning. He tells us what the purpose of learning should be. எப்படி கேட்க வேண்டும் என்பதல்ல, எதற்காக கேட்க வேண்டும். கசடு அறுவதற்காக கேட்க வேண்டும். In other words, we must learn for the purpose of removing the impurity in our soul. கசடு அறுவதற்காக கேட்க, மனமாசு நீங்கிறதுக்காக கேட்க, கசடு நீங்கும் வரை கேட்க, கசடு நீங்க அறிவு சிறக்கும், அறிவு சிறந்து முக்கிய நிலையில் ஒழுக்கம் கைவரும், ஒழுக்கம் கைவர அறவாழி நிலை தோன்றும். So what is this kasad which Wulver is speaking of? he divides this kased in another Quran, number 35. Ayikaru, Ava, Mugli, Innachal, Inna, it's a cornerstone of Islam. You can just remove this. You can't remove it like that, but if you can remove, then yes, we are gone there. Virtue consists in avoiding envy, avarice, wrath, and harsh words. If vices are removed from the individuals, there will be world peace. Envy and greed are silent twins, working fragrantly. If we can cast away these malevolent twins, then our life will become sublime and flow in the righteous way. If these twins could be supplanted by love and charity, this world of ours will be a wondrous place, cooperative commonwealth where compassionate coexistence will become possible. The laws, rules, and conduct recommended by whatever in the article are the paths one should take to a purposeful living called world peace, which is the UNO is to achieve. I repeat and emphasize that charity must begin at home. In other words, revolution for the achievement of peace must start within ourselves, in our individual mind, in our family, in our homes, in our community, at the micro level. It is to impress that Walliver has set up a chapter called Kudisayal Vagai. Community. Take care of the interest of humanity. Kutramilanai, Kudisay Valvanai, Sutramachu. தனிப்பட நாம் இருந்த நம் வீடு திருந்தும், நம் குடி இருந்தும், நம் குடி திருந்த நம் சமுதாயம் திருந்தும், நாம் சமுதாயம் திருந்த நம் நாடு திருந்தும், நம் நாடு திருந்த உலகம் திருந்தும், உலகம் திருந்த உலக சமுதாயம். You are clean and free from all mean flaws and dedicate yourself to the common cause and good and commit to social progress, the masses in the whole world will really come round you. If the individuals contribute their own small might, as Thirukkural firmly believed that any revolution should begin at home and that it should at home in the individual mind, he chose the family as the micro level and as the starting point and laid the foundation for his moral code of laws using certain Qurans as essential constitutional pillars. His proposed ideal is on a firm ground, terra firma. At the very outset, he spelled out 8 cardinal conditions that are essential for the attainment of peace. But we believe that world peace cannot be achieved unless humans honestly believe and have implicit faith in the following: all humans are equal, that among the laws enacted by great people, the best law is the one which requires humans to. Nobody should be in a state of beggary. That is a sine qua non, prima facie important. That is it is on law. It is on this constitutional law. Other minor laws, regulations, bylaws can be impressed. Walliver has couched these 3 faiths succinctly in 4 Qurals as follows. One cannot acquire the efforts, faiths, and beliefs easily overnight. It is through observing certain rules of conduct that those rules of conduct are contained mainly in the Arathupal, which Walliver calls Haram, which defies the definition in any other language. As I stated earlier, Walliver has defined the word Haram cogently in one Qural and expanded each of the components in that Qural in separate chapters. If one can abstain from jealousy, greed, rage, and caustic words, then he can claim himself to be virtuous. These virtues will enable him to treat everyone as equality in the society gradually. The essential rules of conduct are contained in the chapters captioned loving kindness, pleasantness in speech, self-control, ethical conduct, forbearance, freedom from jealousy, freedom from covetousness, social benevolence, denunciation of disapprobation, veracity, control of anger, detachment from avarice. The virtues adumbrated above affirmatively and negatively can be cultivated only through learning. And Walter has exhausted, as I said, 40 couplets stressing the importance of education. In addition to listing these various rules of conduct, which one should observe for peace and harmony in the society and the world at large, Walter also tells us how breaches of these rules of conduct should be dealt with. Punishment, administration of justice. Walter has been of the firm conviction that morality and virtues cannot be legislated. By legislation, morality cannot be brought in the minds of people. Physical punishment cannot help to purify the mind. Unless you yourself decide to change and purify yourself, virtue cannot be cultivated. That is why he appealed to our conscience and said, applies to the ordinary man, to the lawyers, the judge. Thou shalt not be untruthful, knowing in thine own conscience that it is untrue. If thou unconscionably conduct yourself untruly, thine own conscience will constantly scourge thee. For whatever your own conscience is the first and foremost judge and punisher. But if any other person in the form of a sovereign or a magistrate happens to arbitrate or adjudicate on you, he has set out for them certain rules for administration of justice. In those rules, he hints about absolute offences, exceptional circumstances, balance of probabilities, strict liabilities, exceptions, intention, motive, mens rea, etc. I do not propose to expand on them on this occasion, except to read out some of those quarrels having the aforesaid legalistic and evidentiary principles. Number one, சமன் செய்து சீர்தூக்கும் கோல் போல் அமைந்தொரு பால் கோடாமை சான்றோர் கனி கடிதோச்சி மெல்லறிக நெடிதாக்கம் நீங்காமை வேண்டுபவர் கொலையில் கொடியானை வேந்தொடுத்தல் தங்கூர் பலை கட்டதனுடைய பொய்மையும் வாய்மை இடத்த புரை தீர்ந்த நன்மை பயக்குமேனின் இன்னா செய்தாரி ஒருத்தல் அவர் நான் நிர்ணயம் செய்து விடல் எப்பொருள் இத்தன்மை தாயினும் அப்பொருள் மெப்பொருள் காண்பது அறிவு குணம் நாடி குற்றமும் நாடி அவற்றுள் மிகை நாடி மிக கொள்ளல் செயற்கை அறிந்த கிடைத்தும் உலகத்து இயற்கை அறிந்து செயல் சொல்ல பயன்படுவர் மேலோர் கரும்பு போல் பயன்படும். The humans commit crimes, sins, due to fear and insecurity. The feeling of insecurity is caused by ignorance. Ignorance can be removed only through proper education. Once ignorance is dispelled, there will be no cause for complaint or crime. Absence of crime will herald peace. This is the essence of the Thirukkural. No more evidence need be adduced to show that the Thirukkural is a treasure house of wisdom, the learning of which will contribute to peace, and that it should forthwith reach the entire human race. And the best place for it to give that access is the UNESCO. May the UNO do all that is necessary to make Thirukkural a world book. Let me complete my talk with a verse from the Naladiyar. Kunchi alagum கொடுந்தானை கோட்டழகும் மஞ்சள் அழகும் அழகல்ல. குஞ்சி அழகும் கொடுந்தானை கோட்டழகும் மஞ்சள் அழகும் அழகல்ல. நெஞ்சத்து நல்லம் யாம் என்று நடுவு நிலவினால் கல்வி அழகே அழகு. நெஞ்சத்து நல்ல ஜாமின் நடவு நிதனையால் கல்வி அழகிய அழகு. Let me give the translation in case some of you may have difficulty in understanding. What do you think real beauty is? Is it the beauty of a woman's dress? Or the pretty sari which is her dress? Is it the fragrance that she is wafting? No, no. They are cheap dazzles. The real beauty is the inner feeling in your conscience that you are virtuous because of your sense of fairness acquired through learning. I think if the people, the world people, through UNESCO can be made to understand the essence of Vallabha, there will be world peace. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sriskandarajah. That was a brilliant presentation, a very enlightening presentation you made, relating the whole Thirukkural with UNESCO so aptly in all its dimensions, and also bringing the dimension of law and justice. So my respect to you, and also congratulations for this very, very enriching presentation. I'm sure all the participants will join me to congratulate you and to thank you for sharing such great erudition with all of us. As you may be aware, we are planning to have a publication of all the speeches, and hopefully when we reach UNESCO, after COVID-19 is over, then we can release that publication of all the speeches made during the series of conferences. I think it would be, we have a few more minutes, and it might be good to allow the participants, if they want to raise question, or if they want to send the question by chat, whatever, let's take a few questions before we proceed, before we conclude the session. And also I wish to bring to the attention of all the participants that this conference is being recorded. And again, I'll thank Partha Sarati for that. And this will be shared with all of you once he has done the editing of the program. Or as you may be aware, the first conference is available. The proceeding is available on video. Second one is available, and this one also made available. And just to inform you that we are planning now the next conference, which will take place in April, and you will all be invited again.